101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and online at WGNSradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning. This is Bill Krause on the WGNS Roundtable on a wonderful Thursday morning. We're so pleased to have a gentleman who is one of the hearts of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, Mr. Cliff Sharp, one of the co-founders of Greenhouse Ministries, who play a significant role in responding to needs of many of our people in this community. Good morning, Cliff, and how are you?
Good morning. I am doing super.
I know many people out there know and work and love Cliff, but for those that don't know Cliff, tell us about yourself, where you were born, how life began, how life progressed, and how that journey has led you to the greenhouse.
You know, it's interesting. I was born in Texas. I was born in a town called Borger, Texas.
Near Amarillo.
North of Amarillo, about 70 miles north of Amarillo. Interesting town. I could tell you a lot of stories about it, but it was one the Texas Rangers had to come in and shut it down because it was so bad. Wow. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Roots.
Right, and then we moved down to south of Midland and west of San Angelo, a little town called Big Lake.
Is that oil country?
Oil country, yes. Right. My
Mm-hmm.
dad worked for a company that made carbon black.
Wow.
And, that was necessary during the war for tires and for ammunition.
Correct.
So anyway, we moved down there, and then when I was in junior high, we moved to Arkansas, and so I claim that I'm an Arkansan because I was there for the next 40 or so years. But
you could have called yourself a Texarkana.
Well, I guess we could have.
You picked Arkansas as the priority on the name,
right? And it was hard to get the Texas out of me, but anyway, and we moved to northern Arkansas, Mountain Home, Arkansas, which was a area. And,
Major Air Force base there, wasn't it?
Well, no. Now Mountain Home was right on the Missouri line. It was mainly a recreation. They built the two dams there, and so anyway, a great recreation area. And then interesting thing happened. I got an appointment to West Point. And I
did not know that.
I was first alternate, which meant I had to wait a year to get in. So they suggested that I just go and take some basic courses, and so I would be ready when I got there. So I enrolled at the University of Arkansas. And that summer, I went out to, my sister was still living in Midland, and worked in the oil field. And in July, I got a letter from my mother, and she said, since you're just going to school 1 year before you go to West Point, I enrolled you at Harding.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I got to Harding University.
Oh, okay.
And, it was interesting. I thought, well, if she did that, I guess it's okay. I didn't question it. But anyway, I was at Harding for the next 30 years as a student, and then came back and taught there, and coached football and track, and taught in the science department. And so that's my other life.
How did you do football-wise as far as coaching? Win-loss?
Well, there is a championship ring that I'm still wearing. So that
fantastic.
This year, this one is 76. It was interesting. In 72. We also won the conference and won a bowl game, and we had our 50th reunion last year at homecoming over at Harding, and I was so excited to see my kids. Wow. My kids now are 70.
The kids are grandparents, yes, great grandparents.
So, but anyway, yeah, that was my first life, and then Jane said, we've been in Arkansas 30 years. She's ready to come back home, so we moved over to this. She had sisters in this area.
She was from
she was
Tennessee.
Actually from Columbia.
Oh, Columbia, okay.
But she had two sisters that were living here. And
what was the inspiration that created Greenhouse Ministries?
Well, let me tell you a little. we were just discussing, we're both storytellers. But anyway, when I got here, I started working at the Crisis Pregnancy Center, and I was there. Actually, I was there for 9 years, but about 6 years into when I was there, I had what I call my big epiphany.
Okay.
I love epiphanies. My big epiphany was everybody doesn't think like me.
That is an honest
that is a real epiphany when you can
Yes.
realize that. But specifically, it was that I saw a whole segment of the population I literally did not know existed. People that did not have dreams and goals and did not think they had opportunity.
And just basically survival.
Just survival. And so that was the real trigger for Greenhouse. You know, what can we do to encourage the people to, as I say, look up instead of looking at your feet. When you look at your feet, you're only going to do what you do that day.
And look for tomorrow as well as today.
Right. You've got to look forward. And so we started thinking about what can we do. I knew that if you do not develop relationships with people, you can never help them. You can give them all kinds of things. They're very appreciative, but you'll never make any difference in their life till you build relations. So this is the foundation of what we try to do at Greenhouse, is to develop relationships with people.
Tell me how you determined the name, because the name itself has a phenomenal meaning for your mission and your purpose.
You know, it really does. When we were thinking about it, and we wanted to use the scripture, Luke 2:52, which says, "And Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, and favor with God and man," which is a whole person.
Yes.
And so we'd talked about that, and so Christy and Jane were sitting in the car, and the building across the street had a green roof.
Wow. Okay.
And they were just thinking and said, you know, a greenhouse, that's how you grow things, and that's how you grow people. And so that's where the name came from, that our goal is to plant hope and grow people.
And you put a little fertilizer on it?
Put a little fertilizer. It takes a lot of that. And you know the second reason for starting Greenhouse, or one of the impetuses, was a whole community of people saying, what can I do to help? And we have an unbelievable community here that wants to help. So our volunteers are every bit as important as our clients, because giving them a place to use their talents and skills is just as important as using those talents and skills to help somebody else. So I've had someone ask, what ratio would you say emphasis you put on your clients and your volunteers? And I say 50-50.
Terrific. And what are some of the basic functions, programs, services of Greenhouse before we talk about your housing project?
Our goal is, again, is to develop relationships and to we use the three things. We say we help, we educate, and we connect. And so we help people, you know, with their needs. Being a fisherman, I know that you've got to have some kind of bait. Our bait is food. Okay. And with food, you can get people to come in. And so anybody that walks through the door and say that they need food or clothes, we let them know very quickly that that's available. And that way they don't have to tell us what they think we want to hear in order to get something. And so... Anyway, had to cut my phone off again. It goes through my hearing aids. Anyway, so everyone that comes in, they visit with a peer counselor, and so we find out what their needs are. We pray with them. You know, and we have basically about 15 questions we ask. You know, how long have you lived in Murfreesboro, and, you know, what do you do for a living? And so anyway, just to try to make sure that we're touching base with them.
And their family background?
Absolutely. Interesting thing about that. I read in Reader's Digest several years ago, there's a direct correlation in what you know about your grandparents and success.
Wow.
So
Wow.
some of the interns we have, every now and then we just have them go out into the lobby and ask everyone, tell me about your grandparents. And it's amazing how many people do not know who they are.
And many of them came from families that were divided, split, distant, remote, etc.
And a lot of them don't even know who their
Parents
are,
maybe.
one side of their parents. So anyway, it's interesting to do that. But and then we tell them about our classes, what we have, and we teach computer and GED and budgeting and parenting and marriage and sewing and cooking and Bible and everything else.
Roughly how many, and this is just a broad question, but how many people would you say come through the doors of Greenhouse on an annual basis?
Annual, I'm not sure I can tell you. I know that we average about 25 families a day, though.
A day.
Right.
So you multiply 365, you're talking about a significant impact.
Pretty good number, right.
And you have a store?
We have Garden Patch is our premier store. It is a upscale thrift store. People that walk in have no idea it's a thrift store. Initially, I mean, they can look at the prices and see, the prices work for a thrift store. But again, we live in such a great community that donates unbelievably good things, and so it's a fun thing. And that was one of Jane's dreams. Jane and Christy, both their dreams is to have a thrift store. And so when Mr. Beatty's office supply, when he closed it down, he asked us if we'd like to have that building.
Wow.
And so it was just great for a thrift store.
Fantastic. Staff, I know you certainly place a great value in volunteers, but you also place a great value of the men and women that are so dedicated, passionate, and committed to the mission. Roughly how many do you have? And
well, it's interesting how much it's increased as Greenhouse is growing and expanding on different things it's doing. Right now we have 17 staff members. Most of them are part-time, but probably only have about 8 or 9 full-time people.
how would someone get a hold of Greenhouse if they wanted to donate, either items for the Green Patch or financial support for the many programs you do? Give us the address, phone number, contact information.
All right. We are located at the thrift store is at 309 South Spring Street, but our new building is at 307 South Academy,
Which is just behind.
just behind it. And phone number 615-494-0499.
One more time.
615-494-0499. But they may want to go on the website, because a lot of the information they can get on the website. They can even sign up for and schedule a time for picking up furniture on the website, and that is greenhousemin.org. And so they can get a lot of information by going on the website.
Fantastic. Let's now start with the housing project that you have developed. The last time you were on the air, you were still in the constructive range. We have not really chatted since it opened, I believe, in November 21.
Well, I think that was right. Is when we opened the building. We did not really get in the building until January 9th of last year.
Still in COVID.
Right. It was all still in COVID, but we were able to get in there, and this has been one of my dreams. Jane's dream was basically a thrift store, and mine was a men's program. We see so many single women, and a lot of that is because men don't know how to be men, and so this has been a dream of mine, and again, I am so grateful and appreciative of the community that pulled together and donated the money to build the building.
Describe the building for a moment and what it includes and its opportunities and its environment, of which you go more than four walls and a roof. It's the heart of the building that counts as
Absolutely.
well as the building.
No question about that. When we were over at the other building, we just literally had no room. I mean, we just ran out of room. But Jane says about me, she says, anything you get into, you're like air, you fill it up. So we've already filled up the new building. But downstairs, we have some separate and private counseling rooms, which we have never had before. Mm-hmm. And so we're able to again have that privacy. We've got 4 classrooms. We've got a nurse's clinic. We've got a computer lab, and we have a sewing room that we have. And one of the really neat things is our kitchen and dining area. We have a teaching kitchen. We have 2 identical stoves and refrigerators and everything. And so it enables people to really learn, and plus we use that dining area as a great place for meetings, larger meetings.
We're having a wonderful conversation with a gentleman who I consider one of the big hearts of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County, Mr. Cliff Sharp, co-founder of Greenhouse Ministries, who is sharing with us their most recent major activity that has an impact on many individuals. We will be right back after the break.
Hey guys, this is Scott. There's a lot of people talking about testosterone. You hear it everywhere, but do your homework and make sure when you go to a provider, go to one you can trust. Personally, I recommend Low T Center. It's where I get my levels checked. Low T Center exclusively specializes in men's wellness, and they check all your levels, not just your testosterone. And they determine the cause of any symptoms you're having and whether you're a candidate for low T or something else like low thyroid or sleep apnea. Typically, their annual health assessment is completely covered by health insurance, and they check everything, including PSA, which is your prostate levels. And they also check thyroid, liver, and kidney function, cholesterol, glucose levels, and more. Low T Center also has affordable and convenient at-home treatment options. Prioritize your health in the new year. Schedule your annual health assessment at Low T Center today at lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Hi, this is Bob Cornell, pastor of Covenant Church right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The answer that you've been looking for is found in Jesus and what he accomplished at the cross. You see, Jesus changes lives from the inside out. We would love for you to join us at Covenant Church, located at 1124 Brinkley Ave right here in Murfreesboro. We have services Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You can learn more about us at our Cornell Ministries YouTube channel. We want you to grow in Christ at Covenant Church.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
When a family member is lost as a result of someone else's negligence, the grief can be unbearable. It also leaves you with a lot of questions like, how did this happen? Who's responsible? And is my family going to be okay? That's a lot to go through, but with the law offices of John Day on your side, you don't have to go through any of it alone. We understand what you're going through, and we have the experience to get the answers, justice, and compensation your family deserves. Call the law offices of John Day.
Let's check those WGNS Good Neighbor events. The Tennessee Philharmonic Orchestra encourages you to celebrate young musicians at a special event this Saturday morning at 11 o'clock over at Bel Air Baptist Church. Young area musicians will receive the Richard Siegel Tennessee Philharmonic Orchestra Music Excellence Awards, and we need to be there to honor and encourage these students. That's this Saturday morning at 11 at Bel Air Baptist Church. Also Saturday morning, the 12th Annual Special Kids Race. That's at the Murfreesboro Medical Clinic. Our hats off to MMC for continuing to host this special event. For more information about this Saturday's Special Kids Race, get in touch with Special Kids. Would you like to learn more about the history of this community? Well, come on over to the historic one-room Ransom Schoolhouse from 9 until noon this Saturday morning. It's a free service of the Rutherford County Historical Society. And those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Good neighbor weather.
Cloudy skies in store for this afternoon with rain becoming likely, highs in the lower 60s. For tonight, more showers continuing, low of 46. I'm meteorologist Michael Caron, News Radio WGNS. Right now it's 50 degrees.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios, MTE Sharing Change has now donated more than $11 million to local nonprofits assisting worthy causes in our community. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
Hi, Bill Krause again on the Roundtable. We're having a delightful visit and chat with Mr. Cliff Sharp. Cliff is the co-founder of Greenhouse Ministries. It's been how many years that you've been in
24 years.
Well, you'll be having a 25th anniversary
25th
coming up.
Next year.
Going to do something special?
We will. We haven't decided, but we've... it's been in the back of our minds. What are we going to do for number 25?
It would be interesting to find somebody who you served, helped them back in transition many years ago as an alumnus of Greenhouse.
You know, that is one of the most fun things that happens. Matter of fact, I was at the one of the graduations for drug court 6 months or so ago, and a lady stopped me, and she said, you probably don't remember me, but she said, I took your computer class over on January Street.
Wow.
And she said, and you know what I do today? She said, I work with computers. She said, I've had the same job now for the last 18 years.
Wow, so she was one of your early...
Right, one of my early ones. I had another one, same thing, out of living over on January Street, that is now the editor of a paper. Of a magazine. Actually, she started the magazine and is now the editor, and she took that computer class. So you know, it's just so neat to see people and just hear what that we've made an impression on them.
Well, just the mere fact of taking one life that's been down in the valley and helping them get up to the top of the mountain.
That's
is
right.
The reward.
And you never know what type of influence you can have on people. We say that we want to develop relationships so we can help them, but a lot of times we develop relationships with people and we don't know what it'll lead to. I had a lady come in last week, and two different things. One, she said that she was a 15-year-old when I did her pregnancy test.
Wow.
And she said that daughter has graduated from college.
Terrific.
But then she had some things to say about Greenhouse helping. But the interesting thing is she just came in and wanted us to pray for her. It wasn't that she needed anything. There were just some things going on in her life that she wanted to pray for. And I've not seen her in years and years. But you don't know how those relationships, people call me to do funerals and weddings and things like that, and it's just simply because they've come through the greenhouse and they felt good about it. It's amazing how many people say, there's just something about it, just peaceful at Greenhouse.
Yes. Speaking of events, you have the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast coming up. Would you
absolutely
like to talk about that?
The two things that we do the first week in May. One is the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. That is on the National Day of Prayer. And this is the reason, of course, we picked this. And it's amazing. Tommy Bragg came to us 22 years ago, because this is the 20th year that we're doing the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast. We didn't have it 2 years in COVID. But anyway, he came and asked if we would be interested in doing that. And so we've been doing it every year. This year we will be at Experience. I tell you, it is so difficult to find a place that's affordable.
And large enough.
So Experience is going to let us use their building, and we'll have a continental breakfast more than a sit-down breakfast like we've had at most of them. And we'll start at like 6:30. This will be May 4th, and open the line, and then we'll start our prayer time at 7 and be out right at 8. We want to make sure that it stays about that time. But what a great opportunity just to get together and bless our community and our mayors and all different aspects. But that's just an exciting time.
Who will be some of the participants?
You know, we are getting those right now.
Okay.
That's in the progress, and so within the next 2 weeks we hope to have everyone that will participate. We usually get there are 9 areas that we pray for, and so we'll have someone for each one of those areas. And at the same time, we are doing the Bible marathon reading, or Bible reading marathon, I think it is. But anyway, we will start on the 3rd, which is the Wednesday before the National Day of Prayer, at 7 o'clock, and we'll read for 96 hours.
Wow.
And through till Sunday morning, and we'll conclude with a short worship time. And if you divide it up, 96 hours is 384 15-minute segments. So we need a lot of folks to step in and fill those, and especially needing people from midnight till 6.
Where are you going to have it done? Where is it going to be done at?
We do it at Greenhouse over there. We set up a tent, and we also stream it. We've got the capacity to do that, and it's always just a really, really interesting time. And as we say, we read the Word of God and scatter the demons.
How do people volunteer to get involved in that?
Again, we've got a QR code that you could go on, and you can see each one of the 15-minute segments, and you can sign up for that. Or just give us a call.
At Greenhouse, on that phone number.
Right, 615-494-0499.
494?
0499.
0499. Fantastic. And how many years have you been doing this?
We did it a lot years ago. This is probably our 10th year to do it. John Hash, who was with Bible Pathways, is the one that started this nationwide. And so he came to us and he said, why don't we do this? And so we did that. He passed away. And so we quit doing it at that time, and now we picked it back up last year.
And I'm sure with the pandemic, you were not getting people together for that period of time.
No, not at all.
Let's go back to the housing, which is the more recent project that Greenhouse has been involved in, and it's 13 men?
17 apartments.
Okay.
And the goal is that we have a curriculum. We did a lot of research on what men ought to know.
So it's a whole life-changing process.
It's a life-changing
rather than just
thing.
Shelter and food.
And what they do in order to live in the apartments, they have to be in the program. This is not a place to rent. It's a place, and they pay tuition, not rent. There's another reason for that. That way we can get them out if they're not don't want to follow the rules, and it doesn't take 30 days to get somebody out of an apartment. So, and they sign that when they come. But anyway, that's a whole other story. But it has been a challenge. The first challenge that we hit was that some of them work in the daytime, some of them work at night, so we can never have all of them together at once.
Same time, sure.
And so right now we do our classes on Tuesday night and Friday and Wednesday morning, and then we can do another one Thursday night and Friday morning. So we have to duplicate those classes, but we have to do one at night, one in the morning, so that we can catch all of the people.
What are some of the classes that they need to take?
Well, probably the most important is goal setting, and then we tie that with time management and money management. What we say is most of the chaos in your life is because you don't manage your time and you don't manage your money.
And managing their energy.
Right, and their energy, and being able to set up a calendar and doing to-do lists and things like that. But it's been a lot of fun, and now that we're really getting to know each other and developing relationships, a couple of months ago, I had them get 6 menus for 6 breakfasts, 6 lunches, and 6 dinners, and find out what they would need, and then only buy that. And our goal is to eat good, but also be economical. It's interesting, when we did the first the first budgeting thing, or spending plan, we call it. I gave them a sheet that I said, now put how much money you make and what do you think you'll spend. And then when they gave them a few minutes to write it down, and then I said, all right, now how much money did you have left over? Every one of them had money left over. Some of them as much as $700 and $800.
Wow.
But what they had been doing is eating out all the time. And if you're going to eat 3 meals a day out, it's going to cost you $60 or more. Easily. Anyway, it was really interesting. One of the guys came back a couple of weeks later, and I asked him every week, kind of, how are you doing with your food and with your money? And he said, I figured out that I'm going to have $4,500 by June.
Wow.
And he will, because he's got that much money left over. Most of the guys, they have to be working, and most of them have good jobs. Most of them have, $17 to $25 an hour jobs. But being able to take care of their money and their time are two of the big things. But we also, just some fun things, like right now, the class we're doing is how to win friends and influence people, which there's no better book than that.
Exactly.
To study. For 4 weeks, we went over personalities, difference in personalities, and then how does that relate to your work and your friends, and fun discussions.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about money management. In my intro to college classes, it's called First Year Experience at Montlow, I will ask the students, you've just won the $50 million lottery from the state of Tennessee. Who do you tell first? How do you tell them? And how do you spend your money? And it is invariably, they will tell their parents, naturally. Then they will want to buy things for their parents and their grandparents. They want to buy houses and cars, etc. And I said, no, the lesson to be learned here is you invest the entire $50 million at a very conservative rate of 5% return. So every year for the rest of your life, you're receiving a check for $2.5 million. You build your life on it. You save first, and then after you pass, you've left your estate $50 million of principal that's remaining. But the most important thing is pay yourself first, and then pay others for what you need. And they really always have thought that savings was part of what you had left over. I said, you may be tithing for your church, do that at first. You may be saving money, do that at first, and then determine your budget as a result of afterwards. Kind of an interesting sidebar.
Absolutely, and that is so important that they do that. And we use the Dave Ramsey principle. and of course he's on the WGNS every day.
Yep.
And so the investment part is so important. And when we show them how little they have to invest to be a millionaire by the time they're 65, they're amazed.
It is truly. If you can give us, if there is such a thing as a profile of the men that have been through this program since you began, all ages, all parts of the country are they from?
All ages.
What's the youngest and what's the oldest? Do you recall?
19 and 68.
Wow. Wow.
The fellow that's 68 experienced church, asked that we would allow him to come in, and he's very excited about making some real changes in their lives. Most of them have been in rehab, and this is a big change for them because this is not rehab.
No.
And they've got free time, and sometimes too much free time.
I don't mind. Can lead to
absolutely. We suggest books they read and all kinds of things like that, but a lot of them don't, and they still have that too much free time. And so, as I was telling you earlier, sad to say that we've had to ask more to leave than what we have.
Absolutely. And besides you providing them with a unit, does food come with it?
If they want food, it's available. It's available. We do not have stoves in the units, but we have hot plates, microwaves, and those broiler type ovens, so they can still make biscuits if they want to.
And a little refrigerator.
And a refrigerator. And
absolutely.
These are about 600 square feet. They're nice size apartments. A guy that moved in 3 or 4 weeks ago, he said, from where I've been living,
this is a mansion.
He said, this looks like a luxury motel.
This is a castle. This is super. I want to talk more about that after the break. We're on the WGNS Roundtable on a Thursday morning with Bill Krause, and a wonderful visit with Mr. Cliff Sharp, one of the co-founders of the Greenhouse Ministries and all they do for this community. We'll be right back.
Chip Walters here with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates. I was named a top 10 agent in the #1 Exit Realty office in America in 2021. The top question I get around town, how's the market? Good question. And the answer's changed a few times this year alone. I'd like to know what you've heard and share some solid data we have. Give me a call and let's have a cup of coffee and take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. All my contact info is right on my website, choosechip.net. I'm Chip Walters with Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates.
And now, some big news from WINN. The new February instant games from the Tennessee Lottery have arrived. Now, for some bigger news, there are 4 new exciting games to choose from. And now, for our biggest news yet, you could win a top prize of $5 million.
Make a break for fun today with February Instant Games, only from the Tennessee Lottery. Game-changing fun. Please play responsibly.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet, burning pain, balance problems, and a decreased quality of life? Magnolia Medical Center can help. This is Dr. David Morris with Magnolia Medical Center, across the street from the hospital and the Ascend Federal Credit Building.
Online at magnoliamedicalcenters.com.
Here at Bud's Tire, we make buying Michelin tires simpler. I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We offer a straightforward approach to service, including nationwide warranties with every purchase. Stop in today to see our full lineup of Michelin and BF Goodrich tires. For whatever you drive, Michelin and BF Goodrich have a tire to fit any need. Bud's Tire Pros, hassle-free, guaranteed. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstireprostn.com.
Del Walmsley and the Wealth Cycle.
This is the Wealth Cycle that I've taught for 30 years. Buy 1 house, 10 houses, an apartment, 2 apartments, 8, 20, 500 units, 1,000 units, 2,000, 5,000 units. And as you keep putting the money and the profits back in, you become one of those rich people, and much quicker than you'd even believe.
Learn Dell's Wealth Cycle at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Use promo code 2023. Save 60%. Code 2023. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and worldwide at WGNSradio.com.
This is Bill Krause again for the third and final segment of the Roundtable on WGNS. Having a wonderful conversation, learning a lot, even though I've known the gentleman for a number of years, about Greenhouse Ministries. We are with the co-founder of Greenhouse Ministries, going to be celebrating their 25th anniversary of service in the next year, Mr. Cliff Sharp. Cliff, you're going to be talking about a speaker series, program series, classes that you have been providing, and the list looks tremendously attractive.
Well, Connie Huddleston came to us from MTSU and to oversee our education program. And one of the things that she said that she had put together a lecture series out at MTSU that had been really, really popular. And so I said, well, what can you do at Greenhouse? So anyway, last year she put together a group and just really, really became popular. And so we're going over that again. It starts the 4th of April, be on Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock. And we overfilled our classroom last year, so this year we're going to move to the dining area. That way we can take care of about 60 people if we need to. But, it's everything from forensics to history of the Black Cave or the British Crown and Holocaust and just all different kinds. One of them that was popular last year was just learning to listen and what you can learn. And,
exactly.
They're just really, really, really interesting about, how they come in and just visit, ask questions, and it's supposed to last an hour. Very seldom is it that short, because there's lots of always a lot of ideas. And again, this is open for the public. We want to invite everyone to come in. You can go online at greenhousemin.org, and you can get a list of what they are. I know Kent Seiler is going to do something about the Albert Gore Research Center, and as well as, a lot of these other people. Most of them are from MTSU, and so it's a good thing. And let me remind all of our listeners that all of the classes we have are open to the public. They're not open. They're not just for clients. If you need a brush up on your computers, our computer lab's always open, and someone to help you with what you want to know, or you can come in and do our budgeting classes, or most of the parenting classes we do are one-on-one. But we will have a group parenting class starting, I think probably in a couple of weeks. I'm not sure exact date on it. But, those things are always open. But remember, they are open to the public. It's not just for clients.
Do you have to register for this speaker series?
It's best if you do, but you don't have to.
Okay, you can just walk on in on a Tuesday morning.
You can just walk in, and like I say, since we're moving to the dining area, we're going to have plenty of room anyway, but it would be great if you would register for it.
So at least you have a general idea.
Right, of how many's going to be there.
Fantastic. Where do you see Greenhouse in the future?
I see it doing the same thing it's doing now. And this is serving the underserved people that have a need, and using volunteers to do that. And, I think that we have stayed true to our mission from the beginning, and I do not see it changing. Of course, my daughter is now the executive director.
Yes.
So that will allow it to stay, maintain the culture.
Do you have partnerships with other organizations, churches, local government within Murfreesboro and Rutherford County?
Of course, that's the most exciting thing about it. I think when we started, one of the things that I like to think that we were a catalyst of really starting to pull a lot of different organizations together. It's interesting, when we started, January Street was so bad the police did not go over there at night. Wow. I mean, it was really bad, and so the city got a weed and seed grant, and so they decided to use that area as a
test group.
Test group.
Yes,
there we go.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put a police precinct over there. They put the city schools, the recreation, and then they asked if we would go over there because we had been working in that area, and then we started meeting together as in groups and getting people together. Actually, the summer before we actually incorporated Greenhouse, we had a WOW Jam here. Now, the WOW Jam, we'd been to out to Jack Hayford's church, and there was a couple there, the Tavani's. She was Peaches from Peaches and Herbs, reunited again. But anyway, we invited them to come, and so they gave us a bunch of things that needed to be done, but they said, you need to get churches. And the biggest miracle that occurred was there were 42 different churches that helped with that WOW Jam. And so, again, that helped pull people together, not only as churches, but as individuals and organizations. But one of the best things we have in our community is the Our Connection, and actually that meets today at 1 o'clock at Greenhouse. Mm-hmm. And this is just a group of organizations, nonprofits, churches, government agencies, that just meets together and says, what's going on in the community? What can we do to make it better?
Well, you were one of the instigators, I'll use that term, of HARC itself, back in the maybe 10, 12 years ago.
It started a lot earlier than that.
Okay. Tommy Bragg was it under Tommy Bragg?
Well, it was actually Joby Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Started a homeless task force, mm-hmm. and goodness, again, that's been way over 20 years.
Wow.
And so he pulled together a group of us, and we started talking about it, and then again it gradually evolved into ARC, and so I've been involved in that. But Greenhouse, we work with the homeless, but the homeless we work with are what we call non-chronic. The chronic are the chronic are the ones that you see on the street. Mm-hmm. Sadly to say, most of them are not interested in really changing what they're doing. And, of course, there's a lot of mental illness and a lot of that. But we have a lot of people living in the motels and things like that, and they're just existing. Mm-hmm. And, if a child gets sick, car breaks down, they can't go to work. Yep. They sleep in their car till they can get enough money to get into the motels. One of the really interesting programs we have at Greenhouse, and really two parts to it. One of it, we got a grant where we can follow families that make less than $55,000 a year for 3 years, mm-hmm. and because follow-up is really the key, and we're able to help them with several things. But the thing that we see more than anything with these families that we're working with has to do with housing and child care. Mm-hmm. And we have had a program for the last 8 or 9 years where we a family comes in that we can help, or that we feel like really needs help, and so we partner with the church. And so the church helps get them in, find them a place, and helps them maybe with some deposits and things. And then they have to come in and see us once a week and the church once a week. And it's amazing how well that program has gone. So we're now working with that, with this Martha O'Brien grant that we got. And hopefully we're going to start involving more churches, more businesses, more individuals in helping out. We could talk about the housing situation for a long time, but we want to try to get some of these. Most of them are single women too.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. Those that may have married at a young age, raised a family, and suddenly the family is empty nest, and the husband is gone, and they are without training, without employment experience, and they're alone.
We see those, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. The program we have is they have to have children, and so trying to find a place with for a mother and 4 children is sometimes just pretty difficult.
And the dog.
Well,
not the dog.
And it's amazing. A lot of people will not take a place because they have to bring their dog.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole hour broadcast waiting to happen.
Right.
Let's conclude, Cliff, with looking at your life and your first chapter of life, coaching, motivating, win, make that first down, make that basket, and winning, competing, helping up your fellow player or the opposite team when they've fallen, and how that transitioned into helping people to win their personal lives through the Greenhouse Ministries' many, many fine programs and outreach. Talk about your philosophy of life.
I've never stopped coaching. I've never stopped coaching. And my philosophy of coaching was always I wanted to know the athletes to know what we were going to do, why we were going to do it, and how we were going to do it. And that's what I still do with people. I want them to understand, why something's important. Why something's important. What are the steps to get there? And then how are we going to activate those steps?
Well, that's always the difference I share with students between goals and objectives. I say just look at the football field. Your goal is to make one of the end posts. Your objective is 1st and 10.
That's right.
And goal is a year later. Objectives is now to a year. So you got to win the objectives in order to make the goal.
Right. And I used to, when I was coaching, of course, I went to a lot of coaching clinics and went to one every year in Dallas. And Bud Wilkerson was the one that was in charge of it. But you had Bud Wilkerson and Ohio State,
Woody
Hayes, and of course Bear Bryant. They would all be there, and listening to their philosophy. And the interesting thing, they very seldom ever talked about X's and O's.
Exactly.
They talked about how do you motivate. And how do you deal with people, and that really is the key to everything, is how do you develop relationships with people so you can help them and motivate them.
If you're looking at what makes Murfreesboro and Rutherford County tick, it's not necessarily just growth in population, growth in business, growth in housing, growth in parks and recreation, growth in budgets. It's the heart of this community, the heart of this county. And Cliff Sharp certainly represents that heart, the blood flow of passion, commitment, dedication for not only motivation, but for people to realize their value and their potential value. It's been a great pleasure again.
Always my pleasure. I appreciate you asking.
And we will have you back again with the status. And folks, be sure and sign up for one of those speaker series. And if you're looking on your donation list, Greenhouse Ministries certainly should be there. See you next Thursday.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor